I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? I kind of messed that up again. I am Dr. Yaya Diamond. I am not used to saying that. But anyway, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because I have an amazing guest on the show. I always have amazing guests. I'm biased. They're my guests, and they all are amazing. And I have just a wonderful, wonderful person here. And not only is she wonderful, she's just selfless. I am telling you, I am absolutely loving this. Her name is Geraldine, and I want to welcome her to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, Geraldine, I need to know this story, girl, because are you okay? So wait a minute. Are you the author of the book, or are you
No,
representing the author of the
I'm
book? So how
representing.
is this working?
Okay, I'm representing the author.
Mm-hmm.
Full disclosure, he's my cousin. He's written 3 books, and I just read all his writings and things like that. He has a very interesting background, and I don't want to bore you with all that because I want to really, really get into the book. But needless to say,
Yeah.
he and I had a lot of controversy over the title of this book, and I disagree with him. But then after I read it more, I understood where the view was coming from because to say, Mama, I owe you nothing, and Daddy, I owe you even less, I felt was very disrespectful, and I didn't feel like, I felt like we do owe our parents respect. So I was totally at it. Until you read it, you won't understand it.
So yeah, the title kind of throws me off there a little bit, just a little bit, bit. But you're going to explain a little bit more about this book. But I want to know, why are you doing this? Why are you promoting someone else's book, even if it wasn't your cousin? Why would you do such a thing? What would motivate you to do this?
So one of the points that I like to get across about it is that I feel like in this time and age that we're in, that the family unit is really being devalued. And so that's where it comes down to a lot of respect for the family generations, and just having that respect. And the younger generation doesn't feel that way. They don't even have a sense to the family unit. So that's kind of why I really felt like it needed to be promoted.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we should all back each other. That's why I do what I do. I think we should all back each other. We should all be, going for each other and helping each other. I think that, the crabs in the bucket thing need to go away. Just need to go away. So tell me more about this book. Tell me about this book. And okay, so your precept of it beforehand was like, why did you write this book? What is this about? I don't think this is good. But then after you read it, obviously we don't need to give the book away. After you read it, what changed your mind about it?
Well, I came at my cousin this way. I said, you know what? I feel like I owe my mother everything. I feel like, in their senior years, the respect, even when a person looks at the title of the book, when you see that there's a woman there, she's pregnant, she's looking down at her belly, the baby's in her belly. But then trying to understand where he was really coming from with some of the graphics. Then later in life, here's this woman with a black eye, and that black eye was really because of abuse from her own children. So that's kind of like, it was very misleading because I thought of it more as on a domestic violence level from the spouse, never thinking that a child would give their mother a black eye or disrespect them that way.
Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, that is disrespectful. Definitely.
Yes. So there's a lot of elderly abuse and things like that. And this generation kind of feels entitled, but not really reciprocating that responsibility back in their duty. So that they don't feel like they owe their parent anything, but feel like that mom is there to give them everything and just kind of continue to nurture. And a lot of seniors are afraid of their children. They enable them and enable them. There's a lot of different things that's going on in the culture that make people, whether it be chemical dependency or just feeling like they're entitled, like, hey, mom, when I die, what you going to leave me? I'm moving to mom's house or something like that.
That is terrible. That is horrible. I hate that. I despise that. So, okay, so I know this book is about your cousin, but the main reason why he wrote this was because
just seeing how the younger generation is actually kind of really just hitting close to home, just looking at some of like even the people in his acquaintances. I might just people that's even family connected, like you're thinking that their mother is responsible for providing for them. And then mother's not even just providing for them, but now being responsible to raise the grandchildren. And these great grandmothers are actually extending themselves because that value of responsibility, sometimes people think that they can just drop that responsibility on somebody else.
You know, I have to ask you this one question. What is going to be the result of someone getting this book and reading it? Is it going to change their mind? Is it going to give them an insight on what it is to be truly a respecting person for their moms, for their parents?
I think that maybe not necessarily the the your descendants, but I think it might help even us as the older ones to be responsible to where we don't continue to cultivate an atmosphere of where younger people don't feel that sense to the family unit and don't have
Mm,
that sense of respect. There's some cultures where they wouldn't even dare think of putting a family member in a nursing home, that they're going to let you stay in their house and even expire in their home.
mm-hmm.
And it's like they just want to be there to take care, even if they have to take a part-time job or pay someone to come in their house and take care of their elderly parent. They feel a sense like, I got to take care of my mom. She took care of me. But you don't find that in everyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not in everybody. It definitely isn't. I think that also there is that disrespect, but not only the disrespect, but sometimes the fear of having them go. You know what I mean? Sometimes if the child loves them so much that they can't bear to see them go. So there might be different reasons, but for the most part, I think I agree with you on that one. I think I agree with you on that one. And I mean, you are a nurse. You know more than I do. You know, I absolutely love what you're doing and also what your cousin has done in this book. And I know that we can get the book on Amazon. But what do you say to people? When it comes to something like this, what do you say? I know this is your cousin, and I know this is a book about this. But what do you say after reading the book? How has this affected you?
It has gave me a different, like, I have two adult children. I have a total of six grandchildren.
Mm,
And I do realize in our culture, a lot of things are hard, and we may have to nurture them, help them to come back home for a short while, but not to make it a permanent nest egg for them. Just kind of help them to get that foundation. I'll even talk about myself in that respect. I was a single mother and raised my children, single handed. However, I went back to college and got a nursing degree, and just kind of like not just saying, well, you can live with me, but being an example to our younger people, you can do it. There's no excuse for not being held accountable to responsibility. There's different things in the book that's going to talk about, you know, um, a parent doesn't necessarily have to be the person that gave birth to you. You might be being raised by someone else. So sometimes people may not even feel a real connection to their biological mother or their
mhm.
biological dad. That we owe the person that raised us. And I'm not trying to go biblical or anything like that, but I feel like the Bible says, honor thy mother and father. And that's what this book is getting down to, where there's just generations where people don't feel like they owe any respect, not just to their mother, their grandmother, or their aunts.
Mm, I'll go one step further after that. It says, honor thy mother and thy father in the law that they may what? Live long. You're going to die young.
That's right. That's right.
You're going to die young. I tell you what, it is an amazing thing to see that one has taken on this. And did you even ask him why he named the book that title? What was it again? I have to go back and say it. Mama,
Mama,
I
I
owe you
owe you
nothing, and
nothing.
daddy even less.
Yeah, and I totally was not in line with the title because I was misinterpreting the whole message that was coming through this. Because basically, it's like I said to him, I said, I think it would have been better if it would have been titled, Mom, do I owe you anything?
Mm-hmm.
But to say that's a statement, Mom, I owe you nothing, and Daddy, I owe you even less. I was just I didn't like the title, but after reading it, I understood. It makes you think, so you had to get beyond just the title and see what these pages were saying. Because actually, a young person might will read it and say, "Yeah, that's why I don't know my mother nothing." But if they once they read it and get into it, deciding with you that you don't owe anybody anything,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
you do. You do.
Yeah.
Even like just the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
It could be
Yes.
your neighborhood. You owe your neighbors respect. And
Yes.
I know when I was a kid, that's the way it was. You were
Better.
ashamed to get caught doing something even by the neighbor.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no, you couldn't get caught doing that, but forget it. I would get a beating from this person, that person before I even got home. I was already get that switch. Take those leaves off that switch. It was over. It was like, okay, I'm in trouble. I'm in
And
trouble.
and now I feel that there's so much. I actually feel like every time he writes a book, he says, "Well, I ain't writing no more." I think it's actually going to be another book after this because
Yeah,
I think it has opened up a lot of uh, dialogue for more conversation to come. Because I don't think it can end this way. I just really
yeah.
don't.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Well, people can get the book on Amazon. You know, if you had to rate this book, what would the rating be after you've read it, not before you read it? Because obviously, before you've read it, you're already, kind of hung up on the title. What what would be
Okay,
your
so
rating after?
after I read it, I would probably give it an 8 because it's food for thought. It helps you to understand. Even when you get into it, there's some things about the law. It's just even understanding that some of the things that we have cultivated in society and the responsibility. And there's even like in one part of it, it talks about like in some states it makes we have gotten away from responsibility because we have like the social security, Medicare, Medicaid programs, but in old school way people didn't rely on the government to take care of their family. They actually stepped in and they just knew it was going to be their responsibility. So when you read it, it's actually a whole bunch of stuff in here that can affect everyone that we don't realize that could be in the process of coming to the forefront again, that it is your responsibility. And it may not even be broken up equally. A woman might have 6 kids, but they might only choose to go after that one who can afford to take care of her and make that
Wow.
be your responsibility.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I agree with you. Definitely,
So I
wholeheartedly
think when a
agree.
person would read this, I wrote some footnotes that I would like to say, like
Yes.
devaluing the family unit. That was one of the things that I thought of as the number one priority with this is like the family unit just being devalued, not having respect. And then their other one was um, debt versus, like when you say responsibility versus debt, like when you say, Mama, I owe you nothing. Well, owe means that's a debt. But
Mm,
no, I don't think of it as a debt, but I think of it as a responsibility. We have a responsibility to behave and conduct ourselves a certain way. And
mm,
that was one of the things that I thought about with that also. And then the third topic was that, when I think about the reviews of it and the book call of the younger generation in comparison to those rights and responsibility, are we even laying down those values with them of having, it was a protocol. I didn't just nurse you and change your diaper and feed you because you're my baby, but because I loved you. And so when people get old, that's your parent. You don't just do it because, they're because you love them. And love speaks a multitude of actions beyond the word LOVE.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's amazing. I think your footnotes are amazing. You know, we need to teach them. We need to teach the next generation about this, and that generation needs to teach the next one, and so on and so forth. We need to love and I know in different countries they all just moved in. They move into one home and they just stay
Mhm.
together, and there's a family unit that has this one huge house, and that's where they are. And I think I like that.
Yeah.
I
So,
think I
and
like
then like, there's one thing that when I say I wrote on page 61 of the book, I wrote a scripture there. I wrote down Romans 13 and 8. It says, the Bible says, oh, no man, nothing, but to treat
that.
everyone with love. And so when we
Right.
think of that, when you do it out of love, you're not doing it because you owe them. You're doing it because you love them.
Yeah. I agree with you totally and wholeheartedly. Wow. Did we miss anything today? Do you want to say anything to the viewers today?
I would say to the viewers, just being a parent, a young adult, even those of us who are grandmothers and just passing, it approaching our senior years, that it's values that we need to stir in. When I think about how my grandma, you would walk in the kitchen, you smell, it didn't matter if you were a stranger, you came in with a friend, you got a plate of grits too, or whatever they were eating, you got a plate of it. And I just kind of think these values are just not there. Even yeah, well, they ain't my kids. I ain't gonna feed them. That was not it. The neighbor, when you sat down, they made sure. Well, you may not have got seconds, but everybody ate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's so true. Well, Geraldine, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. You know, you guys, the QR code is right there. The book is called, and I want to make sure that we are going to go ahead and put that book up there for you. Mama, I owe you nothing, and Daddy even less. But don't let that discourage you. The book is really, really revolutionary, and you'll be surprised what it's really about. And if you've missed this interview, go ahead and rewind and go back. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But not only that, go to the artist page and the author's page, excuse me, on Amazon, which we have right here, and go and follow him because obviously his cousin said this isn't over.
It's not.
This isn't over. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And until next time, guys, see you.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye bye.
No problem, Geraldine. Thank you so much for being here.
Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you for watching.